Facilities.
Good evening, everyone. A couple of years ago, I gave a more detailed presentation regarding the results of the Ohio School Facilities Commission evaluation of our facilities across the district. And tonight I just want to recap that with a few highlights, just to bring this back up in the forefront. The Ohio School Facilities Commission, their mission is to provide funding, management, oversight, and technical assistance for school districts in construction of school facilities. It's been around for a decade or so now, and has funded many hundreds of buildings across the state. Overland City Schools has a commission rating of 462, meaning we're 462nd on the list of those 612 school districts. Our ranking in fiscal year 08 was 76%, which meant that we would get a 24% reimbursement. I know that's shifted a little bit since then, but we're still right around in that range. Projected funding eligibility would occur possibly as soon as next fiscal year, going into 2011-2012, so somewhere in that time window we expect it to come up for our funding window itself. Our assessment took place back in 2006. It was an extensive review of each building with district maintenance personnel back in October of that year. And these are all the different areas that they took a look at. I'll go over each one of these. You can see this is a very comprehensive review of our facilities. Everything from roofing and electrical down to technology and exterior doors and loose furnishings, lighting, fire alarms, the whole gamut across the board. There are detailed formulas associated with each one of these, and rating scales, where they could identify where our particular facilities fell on their evaluation scale, and then a renovation factor was developed for the district. And here, take a look at each. The renovation factor for across all of our facilities is 101.21%, meaning that it would cost more to renovate our buildings to ORC standards than it would be to replace them. The cost to renovate here at Eastwood, even though it does look wonderful, and as pointed out, the best it's looked in a number of years, there are still a lot of things that could be better here. The cost to renovate this building would be about $12 million. It has a score of 1,300 out of 2,000 on the overall rating scale, which puts it right at the borderline. Most of our buildings are going to be that way because we're so close to that 100% renovation factor.
Hey, John?
Yes?
I mean, this building is how old?
52 years. 52.
52 years old.
So, I'm just curious. I mean, $12 million, what are they talking about doing? I mean, that sounds like completely replace the building.
When you get into, I don't have a full book with me here today, but right off the bat, you know that we're going to need to replace the heating system, most of the electrical, most of the lighting, a good deal of the finishes, all of the windows. So when you start to add those totals up, and I have a price associated with each one of those individual factors, and I can share that with you to show how it comes up to that $12 million.
I guess what I don't understand, I mean, it's a functioning building, right? I mean, we don't have a leaking roof. It's comfortable during the day, at least when my kids were here.
Maybe, Barry, one thing that might help.
Yeah.
The Ohio Schools Facilities Commission has a manual of minimum standards for buildings and classrooms. And it's like this. And so our classrooms, for the number of students, are too small. They were built in, 50-some years ago. The classrooms, there were fewer square feet per child was sort of the rule of thumb. But the Ohio Schools Facilities Commission says in order to get any funding from us, your buildings have to meet the following criteria. So chances are, on most of the classrooms, we'd either have to make them bigger, build some more, reduce the class size even more, which is, Eastwood has the smallest classes in the county, or something else. But so it's not just replacing the heating system; it's knocking down a bunch of walls and making different sized classrooms.
Part of that is also the actual physical site where the building sits, the layout of the grounds, egress, entrance, parent entrance for cars, separate entrances for buses. there are things that are in the standards that we physically could not do, especially here at Eastwood. That's a big problem here is our traffic flow.
Right.
We have cars and buses that are mingling here on the left-hand side. It's not something that we could fix without maybe buying a couple more houses over that way and extending the parking lot over. So, some of the things are more mechanical, others are more designed for education and designed for safety and functionality.
Okay, so, I mean, basically, the bottom line is that the state says it costs more to fix than what it's worth.
They're saying they're not going to give us money to renovate. Exactly. That's part of this, the whole program was to see where the state feels they can best spend their money. And what they're telling us is the best use of our money here would be for new construction rather than renovation. Going over to the prospect, the story is about the same. The rating scale there is a little bit higher. So you see it's scored 1364 out of 2,000, but still with a $13,400,000 cost to renovate. Langston's right about in the same range with a score of 1316. Part of that due to extensive renovations that were done about 2 decades ago over there. Cost to renovate there about $10,500,000. And finally, at the high school, their score is a little bit higher at 1360 out of 2,000. Cost to renovate for that facility would be $13,368,000. Putting those all together, you'll see that our total OFC renovation figure comes out to almost $50 million. Estimated cost to renovate all 4 of our buildings.
Do you still have the books down in the board office?
Yes, they do.
Mr. Richard might want to know that, and he might want to look at them if he doesn't know about them. They have books down there full of this stuff. I don't think anybody's looked at it, like my husband and me.
No, I just
No, we looked at it. It's actually, you would find it very interesting, because I think you're into this kind of stuff.
Well, no, it's just interesting, the buildings are functional, but the state says, you gotta tear these down and build something better. Right? If they have functional buildings now, obviously the buildings are gonna be a lot nicer. We're in the internet age. I mean, things would be a lot different, more energy efficient, of course, better lighting, all that goes. This is, the state has rules of how they fund new construction.
Right, if you want some of their money. And they left us 2 large sets